Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This is just a little fun one I decided to do just because all the metal YouTube channels do this where they respond to heavy metallurgy's metal tag every year, and I decided that since, I'm a YouTuber now technically, and I absolutely love metal, as you can see by all the metal things around and behind me. I give it my go. Also, you may be wondering why in the last video and this video I'm holding this mic, because this is not a mic that usually gets held. I have a stand. I just need to set it up. The one in the first video, the Ween video, it sucks. It's a bad mic stand. I hate it. So for the first question, we have hype. Name a release you're eagerly anticipating in 2025. And for this one immediately came to mind. Obviously, there have been some pretty cool albums already announced. Whitechapel just announced one. Pissgrave just announced one. We got one coming out from Arch Enemy, Obscura, even though half of it might be plagiarized. But this one's a little special to me, just because I love this band. But this is also a comeback, because these guys are old and they haven't released an album in a long time. And also the album that they left off on, not a great album. And that would be Demolition Hammer. They've posted about being in the studio, and I absolutely love their first two albums. It's some of my favorite thrash metal just of all time. So I'm really excited to see and hear their comeback, if it does come out this year, because, man, they have some of the best thrash, if you ask me. Number 2, show the 25th item, LP, CD, your choice, in your collection. This is just because, the year 2025. Funny enough, the album that I have actually isn't even a metal album. It's The Cure, 17 Seconds. I actually love The Cure. The Cure is one of my favorite bands. And, honestly, I think that's actually pretty common amongst metalheads, despite them not being a metal band. They've just got such a, dark, gloomy aesthetic in a lot of their music that I think it just appeals to metalheads a lot of the time. But yeah, this is a great album by them. One of their early ones, one of their more gothic ones. But yeah, if you are looking to get into Cure, this is a great album to start with, I guess. Number 3, Overdue. Name an older band that you checked out for the first time in 2024 and loved. I posted about this on my Instagram, if you guys didn't see it, because I don't know, maybe you guys don't follow me. But I happened to finally check out Dissection, because for whatever reason I just hadn't listened to them very much. So I listened to the Storm of the Light's Bane and the Somber Lane, and I absolutely loved it. I honestly think that's quickly become one of my favorite metal albums of all time. I don't have it yet on vinyl. The record store I go to, they haven't had any Dissection in, actually, but, I'll get it eventually. Number 4, Feeding the Monkey. How do you purchase most of your music? Local store, Bandcamp, specific online site, etc. I do a lot of my shopping in person. I love going to record stores. It's just so cozy to me. I love just scrolling through what they have, even if I don't end up buying anything. And there is a record store about 30 minutes from where I live that is amazing, called Vertigo in Grand Rapids. They have the best prices of any place I've seen, and the selection is amazing. I mean, the metal selection alone is the best of any record store I've ever been to, and that's saying quite a bit, because it's usually like the first thing I want to check out whenever I'm visiting a different area is the record stores. And yeah, this place, top notch. I love going there, and just record stores in general are just always fun, even if it's not that one. Number 5, Enigma. Show a heavy metal album that musically is really hard to place in a heavy metal subgenre. For this one, There's a couple I could have picked, but I just decided to go with another one of my favorites, Macabre. This is these guys they're a little weird. They're kind of their own sound, you know. They kind of are what they call murder metal, as this album is called. But they're very like grindcore, death metal, thrash metal. At the same time, comedy in a way. Like they just have all their stuff's about serial killers too, so it's just like very dark comedy. But yeah, these guys they're just kind of a little weird to place, but I absolutely love them. Great stuff. Number 6, Eating Crow. Talk about an album you used to hate, but after years it finally clicked, and now you can't get enough of it. Just a warning. Some of these I didn't have great answers for, but this is happened to be one of them. A lot of the time when it comes to me like exploring and like listening to new albums, I usually force myself to listen to them multiple times to make sure I really know my opinion before kind of abandoning it. But so I guess I just don't really have a great answer for this, but so I just decided to answer with black metal, just because I used to not really be that much of a fan of black metal. I liked Bathory, Dark Throne, Behemoth, you know, some of like the kind of the more basic ones, and a lot of the time they would be like bands that kind of combine black metal with other genres, so it's not just pure black metal. But as I've done more listening, I've actually found that the genre has become one of my favorites, especially when I started to listen to bands like Sargeist, Immortal. I actually do like some Mayhem, primarily Chimera. That's my favorite album by them. I really like that album. Deathspell Omega, I like them. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a great album pick for this, so I just decided to go with black metal, since I used to not be that big of a black metal guy, but now I'm much more of a fan. Number 7, Impulse. Show an album that you blind bought in 2024. I don't do this too often. I have done it before. Like I've done it with artists that I anticipate getting into, that I already know that I'm most likely going to like. But I didn't really do it too much this year, but I did do it a little bit because I was visiting Florida, I think, and they happened to have, well, it was obviously Florida with what I'm about to show, but they, in one of the record stores, they had this this 10-inch right here called "We Can't Help It If We're From Florida," and it's just kind of, it just looked cool, and it was only $15, so I just figured I'd pick it up, and it's just a bunch of punk acts from Florida, like just a bunch of hardcore punk. You got Hated Youth, Sector 4, Morbid Opera, Roach Motel, Rat Cafeteria. If you know any of those bands, cool. But yeah, I just thought it looked cool, and yeah, it's a cool listen. It's a cool little item to have, honestly. Like, this is pretty cool. Number 8, Collector Scum. Show a title that you own more than one pressing of on the same format. This one is going to be Sleep, Dope Smoker. This is, I really like Sleep as a whole, but this album, like, if I want to just kind of relax, just kind of, you know, zone out, this is a great album to put on, especially when I'm in the mood for a little bit of that green. But yeah, I'd bought this this picture disc a while ago, which it is actually really cool. But the thing is, I'm just not a big fan of picture discs. They don't sound that well. Obviously, I have some hung up behind me, and that's because I honestly think that's the best thing to do with them. They generally don't sound that great. They obviously can sound pretty cool, but honestly, I think they're just I think they're better used as like a way to kind of memorialize albums you like. But yeah, for a while, I kind of needed to get a different copy just because I don't really like listening to picture discs. So I eventually just bought the Bullet and bought another copy. Number 9, show off a Grail, something you really wanted that you acquired in 2024. For this year, I actually had 2 big ones that I really wanted. I'm going to show off the first one just because it actually fits, because it's metal. Sodom. Sodom is one of my favorite thrash bands of all time, and this is actually my favorite album by them. Don't come at me. Agent Orange is still great, don't get me wrong, but it's just pure hostility on this album. Like, it is a lot more death metal oriented, and I am a big, like, a death metal, thrash metal guy. Like, death thrash, I really like that kind of stuff, like Demolition Hammer, like I had mentioned. But yeah, this album was really rare for a long time. Like, it was only pressed once, I believe. Like, there was the one pressing and then like a test pressing, obviously, and then so yeah, it was like going for around like 400, 500 on average. So I was obviously on the lookout to hopefully get it for less than that, but then they announced that they would be reissuing it, and so I immediately hopped on that and pre-ordered it, and now I have it, and I'm very happy. Next one, I decided not to show first just because it's not metal, but I think you guys would appreciate seeing this just because it goes with the first video I uploaded. That's right, I bought the reissue when they reissued it. I got the this is the, I think they're all triple LPs, but this is the colored one. Like, I think it's like red, blue, and then like a tan. It's like a weird tan color. But yeah, I immediately need to get this, seeing as how you guys know it's my favorite album by them, and I love Ween. But yeah, I love that album. Really happy I finally have it. Number 10, we're halfway. A plea to the cult gods, the cult gods, whatever you want to say. What is a Grail item you are on the hunt for? And this one, oh man, I really want this album just because it is such an underrated brutal death metal album, and brutal death metal is one of my favorite genres. And it's not on streaming, and it was only pressed onto like a couple CD copies and a cassette, and that would be Broken Torsos, The Ultimate Abhorrence. This album it's catchy, but at the same time it is just relentlessly heavy, and I absolutely love it. But at the same time, it's rare because these guys are pretty underground, not very well known, and you know, the album hasn't been pressed very many times. So I mean, if it gets reissued, hell yeah, that'd be awesome. And I will definitely be buying that. But honestly, if I can just get a CD copy, that'd be great. Number 11, Boomerang Album. Show an album that no matter how many times you purge it from your collection, another copy returns to you. This has yet to happen to me. I don't really purge my collection that often. The only time I like get rid of stuff is like if I have a friend that like wants an album that I happen to own and I don't really listen to it that often, then usually I'll give it to them as like a gift. Like I did that with 2 records recently for my friend's birthday. But other than that, I don't really get rid of very much stuff in my collection. Like there's stuff in here that I kind of just obtained from other people that I don't even really like. Like there's a Panic at the Disco album in here that I'm not a big fan of, and I don't think I've even spun it once, and I just don't really have the motivation to get rid of it. But yeah, I haven't really had this happen to me. But if it does, then I'll be able to answer this question in the future, I guess. Number 12, Reunion. Name an artist that you had lost track of over time but reconnected with in 2024. This one is also another one that I didn't have a a great answer for, just because I usually make sure to keep up with most of the bands that I'm familiar with. But I one that I guess that like I chose just because I guess it fits was Nails, just because I listened to Unsilent Death a long time ago and I had really liked it, but then I just like didn't listen to anything else. But then they put out, obviously last year, Every Bridge Burning, and I've been repeatedly listening to this, so that has gotten me to listen to the rest of Nails, and now I'm very much a big Nails fan. So I guess that's my answer for that. I don't know. I didn't really have a good one for that either. Number 13, Upstart. Name a new band whose debut album really impressed you. Debut didn't have to come out in 2024, but recently. This one I thought of for a little bit and then immediately came to this band just because their album that they put out in 2023 really amazed me, and I still listen to it. I find it to be very catchy, very awesome, and that would be Moonlight Sorcery. Woo! As I was getting more into black metal, I found that, melodic black metal was one of my favorites, considering Windear was a band that I listened to, and I absolutely love that band now. They are one of my favorites. I would honestly maybe substitute the Dissection answer with them. Forgot to mention them with black metal bands I like. But these guys, I just saw that they had a really solid album that they put out 2 years ago. Well, technically, probably not 2 years yet, but yeah. So I decided to listen to it, and I really liked it, dude. I'm not gonna lie, this album is really catchy. It's got like neoclassical elements. It's got symphonic elements, but it still has the intensity that I kind of want in black metal. But yeah, this debut really did amaze me quite a bit, and I am ready to see what is next. Number 14, influencer. Show a band / release that you bought in 2024 as a direct result of watching someone's YouTube channel. This is another one I didn't really have a great answer for. So I kind of just came up with Chatpile, God's Country. Yeah, I've really been, in recent years, kind of just general anger towards just this country, and this album scratches that itch in every single way. Like, Jesus, this album is just angry in that exact way, and it helps get that anger out of my system. But yeah, this album also honestly could have been picked for the Enigma, band hard to categorize, just because they're kind of weird. They're kind of like if Godflesh, Daughters, and Crowbar all had a baby, and that baby put out an album. And then Chatpile also put out a really good album last year. Check that one out if you want to. But yeah, I really like this album, and I was put on to it just because I think it just gained a lot of popularity just because Fantano talked about it and gave it a really positive score. So, I mean, I guess that's probably a big reason why I ended up checking it out. So that's kind of just why I ended up picking it. Number 15, don't judge a book by its cover. Show a great album with bad cover art. Honestly, the cover art with metal is usually really cool. Like, metal cover art 9 times out of 10 is really, really cool artwork. But this album, just the cover art is kind of, in terms of bad cover art, this is just one of those albums that just kind of immediately gets brought up in the metal sphere, and it's not Dance of Death by Iron Maiden, I promise. That would be Reinventing the Steel by Pantera. This is their final album, for those of you who don't know. It's also their worst, but at the same time, Pantera is one of those bands that really got me into kind of the heavier side of metal, especially with like the Great Southern Trendkill, stuff like that. But I have also just liked a lot of this album as well. I like Hellbound, Goddamn Electric, Revolution is My Name, Death Rattle, Uplift, and I'll Cast a Shadow are all pretty solid in my opinion. But yeah, this album cover, it's not pretty. I don't like looking at it very much. He's got, I forgot which brand of something turkey, I think. It's I think a whiskey or bourbon in his hand, and that's why it's blurred for copyright reasons. But yeah, pretty good album, but horrible album cover. Number 16, Rembrant. Show an album whose cover art was created by one of your favorite artists. This one is going to be a very cold take, just because in terms of metal art, just in terms of metal artwork, this guy, he's just made so many album covers for pivotal metal albums. Like he's kind of, I would say, most people's favorite artist for metal album covers, and that would be Dan Seagrave. This is the album I just decided to pick for this, just because I honestly don't have too many albums that he has made the cover art for. I was thinking of doing Rivers and Nile, just because I have Where Owls Know My Name, and that is a cool album cover. But just decided to go with this one, just because I really like Suffocation. This is a great album by them, even if the production is pure mud. But yeah, great, really cool album cover. I really like pretty much everything Dan Seagrave makes, but I plan on getting a lot more stuff that he has made, just because there is a ton of albums on my want list that I still have to cross off. Number 17, name an album that you would like to see reissued on vinyl or CD. Obviously vinyl, since I'm a vinyl guy. I do have CDs and stuff down here. That sound is me touching them, but I prefer vinyl personally a lot more. And I picked a couple just because there's a lot of albums that I want that have only been pressed like 1 or 2 times. First one I picked was a death grind classic, and that would be Ass Suck, however the fuck you want to say it. Misery Index. This is just pure intensity, and I absolutely love grind, death grind, whatever, gore grind, all of it. I that's one of my favorite genres, and if in my opinion, Asuk is one of the best to make death grind or just grindcore as a whole. It's just pure anger, pure hectic chaos, and I love it. And unfortunately, that album goes for like $150 now on average on like Discogs, just because it hasn't been repressed in a while. I think it's only been pressed twice. And I really want it because it's a classic, honestly. But the next one I chose just because I picked 2, because there's a lot, and I want to shout out as much music as possible. That would be Nithing, Agonal Hymns. This is that was one of my favorite albums from 2023. Technical, brutal death metal, whatever you want to call it, and it is 23 minutes of just non-stop blast beats, pinch harmonics, all of it. It's great, and I love it. It's got like the same quality as like None So Vile, where you can just re-listen to it over and over again, and you notice a new thing every time. It's awesome. And it was only pressed once because, it's a one-man band. Matt Kilner from Vitriol, Ex-Gorgasm, a bunch of other stuff. And it was just a really solid debut. Honestly, could have picked that one in place of Moonlight Sorcery, but I think it also fits very well here because I really want that album, and it was only pressed once. So just saying, if you did repress that album, I would be buying it. Okay, you would get at least one sale, and it would be for me. Number 18. Name an album from a genre you typically do not listen to very much. I kind of had to think about this for a little bit, and then immediately came to me. I'm not a big core guy, besides grindcore, obviously. Like, I'm pretty picky when it comes to metalcore and deathcore. I don't think they're bad genres. I just, they just don't tickle my fancy as much. But to say I completely dislike them would be 100% false. I think Marauder, Master Killer, is an amazing metalcore album. I absolutely love that album from the start to beginning. It's just amazing. It's got a lot of tight grooves. You know, if you like Pantera, honestly, like bands like Pantera, Exhorder, Overkill, all the groovier thrash bands, I think you would probably honestly like Marauder, and also just a lot of early 90s metalcore. 19. What band do you hope to see live in 2025? That rhymes. There are a lot of bands that I would love to see live. There are tons of legacy acts that I still have yet to see. A lot of European ones, especially. Like, I still haven't seen Sodom. Kind of sad by that. They also don't tour in the US, so that's the main reason why. But the bands I picked would be Suffocation and Opeth, because those are some of my favorite bands of all time. I love Opeth. I already mentioned Suffocation, but I haven't mentioned Opeth. But I absolutely love Opeth, one of my favorite bands of all time, and I still haven't seen them. And Suffocation and Opeth have both put out albums pretty recently. Like, Opeth released last year, and then Suffocation released 2 years ago. So, they're still kicking. And Suffocation is actually, they announced a show with Marauder in New York, which makes me want to live in New York, which is something I would never say in any other scenario. Number 20. In closing, tell your viewers about 2 new to you YouTube channels you discovered in 2024, or just shout out 2 channels you enjoy. In terms of metal YouTube, I don't really watch very much, just because a lot of channels don't really do much for me. But there is one channel in particular that I absolutely love. I always go back to them. I keep watching all their new stuff. I keep rewatching their old stuff. That would be Thralls of Metal. It's just a chill guys talking about metal, and it's like, what more could you want? There's so many great recommendations that I've gotten from that channel. Nick, the main guy, Necrotic Nick, has an insane CD collection, which that alone makes me trust any opinion he might have. So, but yeah, aside from that, they're also just very entertaining, and their content it keeps just getting better. If you look at all their old stuff, you can see a lot of improvements, and I really like their stuff. So shout out to them. And another one would just be Thrash Metal IQ, just because in terms of physical collections with like physical media, it's one of my channels to just look at, just because so many videos of his are just like scrolling through his insane record collection, where he's just got like first presses of just every single notable metal band. It's insane. I absolutely love stuff like that. But yeah, that's the final question that they had, and those were all my answers for all of them, obviously. If you guys enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe. That really helps me right now. And if you really, really liked it, go ahead and share it. That'd be really nice. I actually really appreciate it. Anyways, I'm gonna go get stoned as shit and listen to Dope Smoker. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace.